Okay, hello again. So if the other has presented you what is an LPD and how you can make it for one material and then something in between material and building. For the whole building, usually it's this software, OneClick, which is used. And if we are talking about OneClick, um, OneClick, it's a Finnish company which was called before BioNova, and then they changed their name. It's what they say here. It's 100 so far. Well, BioNova had a OneClick and founded in 2001, and then 100 people working on this software. So this means they are taking care of the database, because what is so important for all these materials is to have a database. And that's why it's so complicated to do for the whole building, because imagine in the building you have so many materials, so many suppliers, and then how you can find all the APD for all the materials. So definitely with 110 people, it's easy to look for all the APDs and all the languages and so on. So also you have also to be clear, you cannot have a authorized APD if it's not validated by a third party. So you can create an APD for a window, for whatever, but then it's need to be validated. Without this validation, okay, it's not a correct one. Also, why I'm showing this, no, too many computers, is the fact that you can find here ebooks. So if you're really interested in finding more about LCA and so, these are free ebooks that you can download. You just, for instance, you want the regulation on construction, LCA or so on, you just click on that ebook, and you can read it now or you can download it. So I think for you as students, it's a free source of information, and it's people who are working for many years. And but of course, it's a company, bear in mind. I mean, this is not doing just for free for the fun of the students. It's just they are trying to promote their software, which is good, but the big problem, it's expensive. So yeah, so if you're not doing on a regular basis, I'm not sure you will buy it for a company. So that's why you see here big company, no, that was before, big company are using this oops, yeah, I'm trying to, okay. So these are the company, but you see, these are big companies with hundreds or thousands of employees. So for them, it's easy. If you're a small company, 3 people working in a company, okay, to spend 6,000 euro each year for the software, then it can be a problem. But you have it for free. Have you downloaded?
In the license, so it's like a free trial.
Yeah, for free trial, because you can do it as a student. You go here on get a free trial or pre-trial, you put your name, you're sending an email, and you receive the confirmation from LCA. Yeah, Lars asked you 2 days ago to do it because they have 48 hours. So have you done it? Your enthusiasm, yeah, that's yeah. It's the fact that you don't have daylight, you know. So daylight, it's as people from lighting, I know that without daylight, people are sleepy, their level of melatonin is dropping down. So you're thinking about lunch and so on. But before lunch, talking a little bit about this OneClickLCA, OCL. Okay, let me see if my Spanish has improved. Yeah. Okay. Today, and I'm an expert of where to find it. So OneClick. Of course, this is the presentation of the people from OneClick, so it's a little bit, yeah. How good they are. They are good, but yeah, that's the idea is that you need this software if you're doing assessment. So if you're trying to prove that it's a BREEAM LEED green homes, then you need to use this software. And we have discussion if it's correct or not, but for the moment you don't have a better one. Also, the idea is that you can use the bill of quantities. The bill of quantities. So what you're doing in BIM, it's so important because you can import everything on one click. And so instead of taking quantity by quantity, you take an Excel file and then you also have the connection with a huge database. And I'm telling you again, the database of products, it's the key, because for many products, it's so hard to find. It's also the fact that only few companies in Europe has this EPD. Ask for the EPD for many producer, and then says what it's EPD. So it can be sometimes a barrier for products that are used inside the building. So if no EPD, I mean, you can build you can have the building, but you're losing points in certification. It's the way it is solved, this issue. So the idea is to work on the calculation of LCA from the beginning, because in most of the project, people are coming in this stage, said, okay, I have a design, it is nice, it is green, and I just want to calculate the LCA. So on that stage, you have a limited influence to improve to reduce the CO2 emission, because you're not working from the beginning. At that moment, if you come with ideas that you should replace that by another product, it's a little bit too late. Also, the validation, it's so important to see, and you'll be asked on which stage you're doing the LCA, concept stage, design, construction, or as-built. So different stages, different approaches, because imagine that here are some generic products, and as-built, it's the final, I don't know, Kingspan you have asked or whatever. So they use a specific product. It's also here a discussion about what are you using, generic, which is a little more correct, or specific, because sometimes this is the difficult part in many industries, is that the designer push a little bit for a certain product. So I would like to work with, let's say, lighting with Signify or whatever product, because they receive some commissions, and this is the way that's the corruption in the building industry. But this is another story for another. But you all already recognize here the names: Revit, Tekla, and then of course Grasshopper. So that means this is the power of big software. They are interconnected. So if you start working with, I don't know, with Tekla, then you would like to simplify your life and then simply export the bill of quantities to OneClickLCA, and then use the results more simply, instead of putting one measure with another, looking for a database and so on. Again, and why I leave this picture, because you need to realize you need to get used with A1, A3 product stage, A4, A5 construction stage, use stage, end of life stage, and what is beyond. Because you'll see a lot of times this image. This image you need to get used, and some expression like cradle to gate. That means it's the product that's go outside the manufacturer. That is cradle to gate, and then cradle to practical completion, and cradle to grave. It doesn't sound nice, but it is from cradle to grave. And always bear in mind that that can be the end, or yeah, it can be reuse. Here you have another stage here where you can reuse, recovery, recycling, if it's anything good to be recycled afterwards. So also in body carbon assessment, you're getting out the operational energy used. That's the main difference, because you're not interested in what is the usage, the energy that we are using now inside the building. It's what the embedded carbon assessment. Okay, so you got all these difficult names to pronounce. Try to pronounce eutrophication and so on, but everything describes something. So the big advantage is you're using the software, and you have a lot of pages that someone needs to make an interpretation, and that will be you who make the interpretation. What's good, because there will be, if you want, 100 pages just printing, and you have already a report. But the difficult part, as with any software, you make the interpretation. What was the purpose? I mean, because without, it's just simple pages and pages of materials. So let's make this. This is also something to remember. That's the problem with CO2, and why we have the buildings are the main targets, because 28% from it's come from operational emissions, 11% from materials and construction. So the construction phase consume a lot. So according to EU, around 12% of the material in a building site are lost. Have you been to a building site? Have you noticed how many materials are simply thrown away? I mean, 12%. And I think this is optimistic because it's for the whole EU. Sometimes in Romania, I think it's more than, it's around 20%. So a lot of lost material. Yeah. So, and city are the big consumers, and well, with new construction. Strangely, new construction, it's between 1 to 2% of the total number of the construction in EU. And this is a problem because the renovation rate is quite low in EU. I mean, imagine how many buildings need to be renovated on the whole EU, and how much it will cost to do it, like now at in the standards of nearly zero building. Or watch out, if you're not doing now, by 2030 they will ask you for zero. And I don't know. For the moment, I haven't seen the real nearly zero building. Have you seen it? I mean, we have read about it. I mean, yes, we see some glimpse of glimpse of what could be, but it's so complicated. So the good news, you'll have a lot to work in the years to come. I mean, Imagine all these buildings that needs to be zero and nearly zero and so on. So, but again, then you need speed. If you're doing the calculation step by step, okay, it will take you a lot. But let's go. This is so. For instance, when you start the one-click, they will ask you what kind of assessment would you like to do. It can be BREEAM, it can be LEED, it can be Spanish system, whatever. You just need to be clear what kind of. And you see, if it's BREEAM, it's not only one BREEAM. It's BREEAM for new construction. It's BREEAM for residential use, BREEAM for neighborhood. It's so complicated, but you need to be specific. What are you looking for? And of course, this is the dream of European Commission. I'm afraid this is a failure because I haven't seen the level to be. I've seen BREEAM, I've seen LEED, but level, okay, but yeah. So, okay, calculate your environmental impacts in minutes. Yes, if you have the bill of quantities clear and you just export it and you know how to work. Or else you need to take it step by step. Well, and here is the discussion, what you do for a building. Some companies are doing only the core of the building. That means the structure. Because if you enter into details like I'm having also ventilation. Imagine to calculate this for ventilation, the lighting, the heating, and so on. This is very complicated. That's why it's a discussion. Where do you stop with the calculation? And some company says, I'm doing only the core. It's called LEED core. You're doing the core of the building. Because why? Because that's you're doing as a real developer. From that point, you're just renting the space and goodbye. It's not your problem. They will install luminaires. They will install heating and other appliances. Well, this is the debate now, where it's you should stop, and then using the EPD. I was looking to that EPD you're showing. It was done by BRE. Yeah, that means, and this is also an ethical question. You're just develop a system like BREEAM, and then you're asking the company, would you like to do your EPD? And they said, oh, well, so you invented a system, then a company comes to you and asks you to do this EPD. That's a little bit, and by the way, it's the best product you can have. At the end of an assessment, you're just delivering a paper saying, this is a green building signed by manager and so on, and that will cost you, I don't know, from 10 to 50,000 euro. That's the best thing you can sell. A piece of paper mentioning, oh, you're a very green, you have a very green building. But in fact, behind that, it's a lot of work. It has discussion, and why I'm mentioning this, because you always, that's my thing, you have to evaluate where the system is correct or not. But it's up to you. So yeah, also for an EPD, it's how Lars have mentioned, is it cradle to gate, cradle to grave, or cradle to gate with option? To gate, it's the nicest part because it's the what can I do with the product? They are already companies, they are collecting what they are selling. I mean, if you're selling, for instance, the flooring, the carpet, Interfloors, it's a company who will take it back and reuse it for making again a carpet. And that will be very important in the years to come, because there's a lot of material. You just cannot throw it away, sending to landfill. It needs to be collected and reused. Of course, that is more expensive than the usual one. But if you want to be green, it's the kind of solution that you should use. I mean, what will happen to the product at the end of the lifetime? Okay, what kind of EPD? And this is what it's important to have an EPD. Okay, and to have all these values, and again, when you'll see A1, A2, A3, now you know what's the meaning, because at the beginning it looks like a big table with a lot of figures, and you don't get it. Now I hope that you start getting it, what's happening with, you see, A1, A2, and this E1, okay. I leave you the pleasure to read it. It's very, yeah, that's, yeah. So why they are using? Because you receive credits. The system for LEED and BREEAM, it's based on how many points you have from 100 possible points. Have you reached, let's say, 40, which is LEED pass or BREEAM pass, till 85, 89. And in order to reach this value, you need to use the LCA. I mean, it can be the same building, but if you have not done the LCA, you lose a lot of points. So, of course, they are using this OneClickLCA for world's most sustainable office building. Okay, every year we'll have the world's most sustainable office building. In fact, the system is moving all the time. That's the advantage of this system, like LEED and BREEAM. They don't need the permit from the government to move the barriers. It's it's an NGO, and they are moving all the time the standards up and up and up. So what is the world's most sustainable office? It's valid for that year. Next year, I'm sure there will be other companies. But it's a way of selling more expensive the square meters, because at the end, that's the whole secret. You have nice labels, and if it's nice label, you sell it more expensive. No secret about that. Yeah, so that's why you're doing this afternoon. You have to log in, get as a new user if you have not registered, fill the information and get started. And create new building, new project, name your new project, but again, it will be so important. What will be the level of assessment? I will suggest BREEAM as a way of working, but you're free to work with what system you would like to do. It's available. Yeah, so also the design phase. But I will stop here, as you never have to never compete with the lunch. It's nothing. It's more interesting than a lunch. So I give up, and let's continue in the afternoon with the help of Lars, and we'll do the exercise. Okay, questions. So how many have been send the information to OneClick? And
yeah, we haven't received the
free trial or 14 days free trial.
Yeah.
You received?
Yeah,
you have
14 days.
Yeah,
14 days.
Free
Okay.
trial.
It's 14 days. For today, it's enough. Yeah. Officially, it should be free for students, but yeah.
Yeah,
There's also they're sending, they will send some password. And it takes a little time.
Okay. And professor will have 50% reduction of what this software, which is terribly expensive. And yeah, but, how expensive is you have work with? You know the prices. One click. Oh, so it's almost for free for professors. I'm sure that yeah. So yeah, but usually they got to that a special version for professors, and but then again, think about the fact that you need to make an interpretation of the results and try to find the solutions. And that's why it's so important to work on the concept phase, trying to see different solution on only for core. I mean, you're not interested about will it use this and this, but comparison between solution that are using, for instance, wood, and you'll see with wood, wood is the only one with minus CO2 emission. So, but yeah, not an easy calculation from the statistical point of view, but I don't know how you do it because I'm not a civil engineer, but it's easy to me to discuss about wood and so. But CLT, it's usually the solution. But you will ask the civil engineer experts, and yeah, they will do it. Yeah. Question.
I have a small doubt. So from your slides, I could see that there are 3 types of LCA. One was cradle to gate,
Yeah.
and then the second one was cradle to grade. And also, like,
Yeah.
the last one was cradle to gate with options.
Yeah, I mean, cradle to gate to options. I mean, if you can do something with the product after you dismantle the building or the product, can you reuse it? Can you I mean, it's a downgrading or upcycling, transforming to something a better one.
So if the product gets failed in any of the options in between, so what are the alternative options?
There are many cases when it's only cradle to grave. I mean, it's landfill, the ultimate solution. We have this issue, for instance, with public lighting. You know, there's a lot of solution with high pressure sodium. Unfortunately, I mean, you can recycle the material if it's aluminum and so on, but not an upcycling. It's simply the bank of material. Yeah, so you're doing only basic recycling. Yeah, but also this will be a challenge for you. How you can reuse so many materials. I mean, if you went to a demolition place, you see that usually they are destroying everything. Just go with the trucks from that side. But if you will come with a brilliant idea of recycling, you'll receive a Nobel Prize from the I don't know who can offer it, but we'll talk with the international GBC to offer you that, because in fact there's so much waste. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.